Getting the perfect start in MotoGP 24 can be quite challenging. So in today's video I'm going to break a few things down for you and provide some helpful tips to help you get the perfect start in MotoGP 24. So first things first, let's start with electronics. It is important to ensure your electronics are set to your liking before even attempting to start. There are a couple of things to take into consideration when choosing electronic settings, such as traction control, anti-wheelie, and power. Now starting with the first value on the right hand side of the screen, that is TCS, which is traction control. I recommend finding a traction control setting for you that works in a way that gives you enough power to get off the line, but not enough restriction so it stops you from moving, and alternatively too much power that starts making the wheel spin. I recommend going anywhere between traction control 2, 3, and possibly 4. Your mileage may vary, so please try these, but I highly recommend those values. Now the next value on that list on the right hand side of the screen is AW, which is anti-wheelie. Having it too high will restrict the bike's power again, but having it too little or having it turned off, the bike just wants to wheelie way too much, no matter how gentle you are with the throttle. So from personal experience, I will tell you that I have used between 3 and 4. They work extremely well. Wouldn't recommend 5 as it's too much power loss, and on the opposite side, anything lower than 3 just makes the bike wheelie way too much. Now power in MotoGP 24 is a unique one because it doesn't slow your bike too much to reduce the power down. So if you're really struggling to get off the line there with a lack of consistency in the sense of wheel spinning or wheeling, try reducing your power to one of the lower values. I wouldn't personally recommend power 1, I don't think there's enough power coming out of the bike, but it's definitely worth giving a try. Personally, I just stick on power setting 3 and manage it all with the right trigger, which is the throttle. Now moving swiftly on to the next tip is track conditions. So far we've only looked at dry conditions, so now we're looking at what happens when the rain comes down. Now in MotoGP 24, the difference between the wet and the dry is not so significant. You don't need to be that extra special compared to the previous MotoGP games, so what I would recommend is still sticking to your same electronic values that you've learned and used so far, but just increasing the value by 1. And if you find that's still a bit too restrictive, then go back to the same value you have been using. Personally, I just run the exact same from both the dry conditions to the wet and just continue the exact same way. You can see on the throttle inputs here with the right hand side of the screen that they're actually quite similar from both dry conditions to the wet with the same electronic values. Your mileage may vary, but I would suggest that you do not overthink starting in the wet track conditions. So once you've decided upon your electronic values, now it's time to actually look at starting the race. It is vital that you learn the finesse point of your controller. Now if you're using an Xbox controller, if you're using a PlayStation controller, your finesse points on the triggers will be ever so slightly different. I'm using a DualSense controller, and I feel as appropriate for me is the throttle around 80% once releasing off the line. Now once you get off the line, the bike does start to wheelie ever so slightly, which is normal. This happens in MotoGP when the launch control is not absolutely nailed. The way you can combat this is just by reducing the throttle ever so slightly and then balancing it to find that finesse point that allows the bike to continue travelling at a straight line. Now you can move the analog stick ever so slightly one way or another. That helps the rider push the weight to one side. That stops the bike from trying to just lift up vertically. You can use a little bit of rear brake to try and stop the wheeling, and alternatively you could reduce the power. Each of these options will help you start a race in MotoGP 24, but actually eliminating the wheelie is a difficult thing, so you will have to fight your way through it. Now so far these tips have been for the Premier class because simply Moto 2 and Moto 3, the smaller categories below, are very simple to start. Moto 2, go full throttle, and Moto 3 is more or less full throttle, just depends on your electronics value, but more or less very simple to do. Now so far everything that I've shown you in today's video can be taught, but there is just one thing that cannot, and that is timing. Everything you've learned so far, you've now met the final boss, which is timing and getting it right in MotoGP 24. No matter the track, no matter the circumstance, the timing is always different. There is not a definitive answer for exactly wait 5 seconds and then go. It's always going to be different. So for this one, I implore you to practice. I have had many failed attempts, many long lap penalties, many wheelies, many wheel spins, and just struggled to get off the line. It has taken me time and a lot of effort to nail those starts, and what I would highly recommend doing is to just keep at it. Keep on chugging away until you find the timing point. Get into the groove, get into the spirit, and absolutely send it. Alternatively, if you really don't want to spend your time learning on how to start in the correct way in MotoGP 24, you can just turn on auto clutch. Auto clutch will basically just do everything for you, and you'll start pretty well 99% of the time. So there you go. That's it then, guys. Thanks for watching the video. Hope you enjoyed. Like and subscribe. See you in the next one. Ciao for now.
Oh hi! Didn't quite see you there. Good to see you're still here. If this video didn't quite set your appetite, then why not watch some more DrAce content by clicking the video shown on screen now. Furthermore, if you would like to follow me on social media, you can do so now with the links down in the description. Consider subscribing so you don't miss a single DrAce video.